The Zorathians arrived without warning, their massive fleet blotting out the stars as they descended upon Earth. For centuries, they had conquered countless worlds, their advanced technology and ruthless tactics leaving no room for resistance. To them, humanity was just another primitive species to be subjugated, another resource to be harvested. Their demand for surrender was broadcast across the planet, a cold, mechanical voice declaring the inevitability of human defeat. But the Zorathians had made a fatal mistake. They underestimated humanity. From the moment their ships entered Earth's atmosphere, the Zorathians faced a resistance unlike anything they had ever encountered. Humans did not cower or beg for mercy. Instead, they fought back with ferocity that stunned the invaders. Cities became battlegrounds, and every street, every building, every inch of land was defended with unyielding determination. The Zorathians expected a quick victory, but they found themselves bogged down in a war of attrition. Human soldiers, though outgunned, used guerrilla tactics, striking from the shadows and disappearing before the aliens could retaliate. Civilians joined the fight, turning everyday objects into weapons and using their knowledge of the terrain to outmaneuver the invaders. The Zorathians' initial confidence began to waver as their losses mounted. They had never faced a species that refused to accept defeat, no matter the odds. Human pilots, flying outdated aircraft, managed to take down advanced Zorathian fighters through sheer skill and daring. On the ground, human soldiers used improvised explosives and ambushes to destroy entire columns of alien vehicles. The Zorathian superior technology was rendered ineffective against humanity's ingenuity and adaptability. For every human life lost, the Zorathians paid a heavy price, and their commanders grew increasingly frustrated. Amid the chaos, a Zorathian commander was captured during a failed assault on a human stronghold. Brought before a council of human leaders, the alien was defiant, insisting that humanity's resistance was futile. But the humans did not respond with anger or threats. Instead, they delivered a chilling warning. "You have made a grave mistake," one of the leaders said, his voice calm but filled with resolve. "Leave now and we will let you live. But if you continue this war, we will hunt you to the end of the galaxy. There will be no peace, no mercy, no escape. This is your only chance." The Zorathian commander laughed, dismissing the warning as the desperate bluff of a doomed species. To the aliens, humanity's defiance was nothing more than a temporary inconvenience. They had faced countless civilizations, each one fallen before their might. What could one primitive species do against the might of the Zorathian Empire? The commander was returned to his people, and the war continued. But the humans' warning lingered in the air, a promise that would soon be fulfilled. As the Zorathians regrouped for another assault, they began to notice something unsettling. Human forces were no longer content to defend their planet. They were taking the fight to the invaders. Small, highly mobile units began targeting Zorathian supply lines and communication hubs, crippling their ability to wage war. The aliens found themselves constantly on the defensive, their once unstoppable advance grinding to a halt. The humans were not just fighting to survive. They were fighting to win. The Zorathians' confidence turned to unease as they realized the true nature of their enemy. Humanity was not like the other species they had conquered. Humans did not fight for glory or conquest. They fought for survival, for their families, for their future, and that made them unpredictable, relentless, and utterly dangerous. The aliens began to question their own superiority, their once unshakable belief in their invincibility shaken by the tenacity of their foes. By the end of the first phase of the war, the Zorathians had suffered losses far greater than they had anticipated. Their fleet, once a symbol of their dominance, was now a shadow of its former self. Human forces had captured and reverse-engineered alien technology, using it to level the playing field. The Zorathians' initial arrogance had given way to a growing sense of dread. They had come to Earth expecting an easy victory, but instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. And that giant was just getting started. The humans' warning echoed in the minds of the Zorathian commanders as they prepared for the next phase of the war. They had dismissed it as empty bravado, but now they were beginning to wonder if they had made a terrible mistake. Humanity was not just defending their home. They were preparing to take the fight to the stars. And the Zorathians were about to learn the true meaning of fear. The The tide of the war began to shift as humanity's ingenuity and relentless determination came to the forefront. The Zarathians, once confident in their technological superiority, found themselves facing an enemy that refused to play by their rules. Human scientists and engineers worked around the clock, dissecting captured alien technology and integrating it into their own arsenal. What they lacked in raw power, they made up for in creativity and adaptability. Within months, humanity had developed weapons and strategies specifically designed to exploit the Zarathians' weaknesses. The first major turning point came when a Zarathian fleet, sent to reinforce their forces on Earth, was ambushed near the asteroid belt. Human ships, equipped with newly developed stealth technology, struck without warning. The aliens, accustomed to overwhelming their enemies with brute force, were caught completely off guard. Their ships, though advanced, were not designed to handle the unpredictable tactics of human pilots. The battle was swift and decisive, with the Zarathian fleet reduced to floating debris. For the first time, humanity had proven that they could not only defend their home, but also take the fight to the enemy. The victory sent shockwaves through the Zarathian ranks. Their commanders, who had once dismissed humanity as a minor nuisance, now faced the grim reality of their situation. The humans were not just surviving, they were thriving. Every defeat inflicted upon the Zarathians only seemed to strengthen humanity's resolve. Reports from the front lines painted a picture of an enemy that was relentless, resourceful, and utterly unpredictable. The Zarathians' confidence began to erode, replaced by a growing sense of unease. Among the Zarathian leadership, a debate began to emerge. Some argued for a full retreat, believing that humanity was too dangerous to engage. Others insisted on escalating the conflict, convinced that their superior technology would eventually prevail. But even the most hardened commanders could not ignore the evidence before them. The humans were not just fighting for their survival, they were fighting for their future, and that made them a force unlike anything the Zarathians had ever encountered. As the war dragged on, the Zarathians began to notice a pattern. Human forces were not content with simply defending their territory. They were actively seeking out opportunities to strike back. Small, highly mobile units infiltrated Zarathian-held worlds, sabotaging supply lines and gathering intelligence. These operations were carried out with precision and efficiency, leaving the aliens scrambling to respond. The humans' ability to adapt and innovate was proving to be their greatest weapon. The Zarathians' frustration grew as they realized that their traditional tactics were ineffective against humanity. Their reliance on overwhelming force and technological superiority had served them well in the past, but it was no match for the humans' ingenuity. Every time the Zarathians thought they had gained the upper hand, the humans would unveil a new strategy or weapon that turned the tide. The aliens were forced to constantly adapt, but they were always one step behind. One of the most devastating blows came when human forces launched a surprise attack on a Zarathian supply depot located on a distant moon. The depot, which housed critical resources for the war effort, was heavily fortified and thought to be impregnable, but the humans had other plans. Using a combination of stealth and deception, they infiltrated the facility and planted explosives at key locations. The resulting explosion not only destroyed the depot, but also sent a clear message to the Zarathians. Nowhere was safe. The loss of the supply depot was a major setback for the Zarathians, but it was just the beginning. Human forces began targeting other key installations, systematically dismantling the aliens' ability to wage war. The Zarathians' once mighty fleet was now stretched thin, forced to defend multiple fronts against an enemy that seemed to be everywhere at once. The aliens' confidence continued to erode as they realized that they were no longer the hunters. They were the hunted. Amid the chaos, a Zarathian scientist named Vrax emerged as a voice of reason. Vrax had studied humanity extensively, and he understood the true nature of their threat. They are not like the others, he warned his superiors. They do not fight for conquest or glory. They fight for survival, and that makes them unstoppable. Vrax's words fell on deaf ears, as the Zarathian leadership remained unwilling to admit the gravity of their situation. But his warning would soon prove prophetic. As the war entered its next phase, the Zarathians found themselves on the defensive. Human forces, emboldened by their successes, began launching counter-invasions on Zarathian-held worlds. These operations were carried out with surgical precision, targeting key infrastructure and liberating enslaved populations. The humans' reputation as liberators spread quickly, and many of the Zorathians' former allies began to question their loyalty. The aliens' empire, once thought to be unshakable, was beginning to crumble. The Zorathians' retreat from Earth marked the end of the first chapter of the war, but it was far from the end of the conflict. Humanity had proven that they were not just capable of defending their home. They were capable of taking the fight to the enemy. The Zorathians, once the undisputed masters of the galaxy, now faced an enemy that was relentless, resourceful, and utterly determined. And as they fled into the depths of space, they could not shake the feeling that the humans' warning was no longer a threat. It was a promise. The Zorathians' retreat from Earth was not the end of the war. It was the beginning of humanity's hunt. With their home planet secure, humans turned their attention to the stars, determined to ensure that the Zorathians would never threaten them again. The aliens, once the aggressors, now found themselves on a run, pursued by an enemy that refused to relent. Humanity's fleet, bolstered by reverse-engineered Zorathian technology and fueled by an unyielding resolve, set out to track down their foes across the galaxy. The Zorathians' initial retreat was chaotic. Their once mighty fleet, now battered and demoralized, scattered in all directions, hoping to regroup in the safety of deep space. But humanity was not content to let them escape. Advanced tracking systems, developed from captured alien technology, allowed human ships to follow the Zorathians' trails with pinpoint accuracy. The aliens' attempt to hide were futile. Every jump through hyperspace, every attempt to mask their energy signatures, was met with relentless pursuit. The humans were like predators, stalking their prey with a precision that left the Zorathians no room to breathe. As the hunt progressed, humanity's tactics evolved. Small, fast strike teams were deployed to harass the Zorathians, keeping them off balance and preventing them from regrouping. These teams struck without warning, targeting supply ships, communication relays, and any other assets that could aid the aliens' escape. The Zorathians, accustomed to overwhelming their enemies with sheer force, were unprepared for this kind of asymmetrical warfare. Their attempt to fight back were met with swift and brutal retaliation, further eroding their morale. The psychological toll on the Zorathians was immense. Once the dominant force in the galaxy, they now found themselves constantly looking over their shoulders, never knowing when or where the humans would strike next. The aliens' commanders, once confident and arrogant, were now plagued by doubt and fear. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. The humans' warning, delivered so calmly during the early days of the war, echoed in their minds like a death knell. We will hunt you to the end of the galaxy. It was no longer a threat. It was a reality. Humanity's pursuit was not just about vengeance. It was about sending a message. The galaxy had long lived in fear of the Zorathians, and humanity intended to show that no empire, no matter how powerful, was invincible. As human forces liberated Zorathian-occupied worlds, they were met with gratitude and awe from the enslaved populations. These liberated species, many of whom had suffered under Zorathian rule for generations, began to see humanity as saviors. The humans' reputation spread like wildfire, and their ranks swelled with new allies eager to join the fight. The Zorathians' attempts to rally their forces were met with limited success. Their empire, once vast and unshakable, was now fractured and crumbling. Many of their former allies, sensing the tide had turned, abandoned them to side with humanity. The alien supply lines were stretched to the breaking point, and their fleets were constantly on the move, unable to establish a secure foothold. The humans, by contrast, were thriving. Their ability to adapt and innovate had turned the tide of the war, and their determination to see it through to the end was unwavering. One of the most significant blows to the Zorathians came when human forces intercepted a convoy carrying critical resources to their homeworld. The convoy, heavily guarded and thought to be secure, was ambushed in deep space. Human ships, using advanced cloaking technology, slipped past the Zorathian defenses and destroyed the convoy in a matter of minutes. The loss was catastrophic for the aliens, leaving their homeworld vulnerable and further destabilizing their already fragile empire. As the war dragged on, the Zorathians' desperation grew. They began resorting to increasingly extreme measures, including scorched earth tactics and the use of forbidden weapons. But even these efforts were met with limited success. Humanity's ability to anticipate and counter the aliens' moves was unparalleled, and their resolve remained unshaken. The Zorathians' once proud empire was now a shadow of its former self, and their leaders were forced to confront the grim reality of their situation. The final phase of the hunt began when human forces located the Zorathians' last stronghold, a heavily fortified system deep in uncharted space. The aliens had gathered what remained of their fleet, determined to make a final stand. But humanity was ready. A massive armada, composed of ships from Earth and their allied worlds, descended upon the system with a single purpose: to end the war once and for all. The battle that followed was fierce and unrelenting. The Zorathians fought with the desperation of a cornered animal, but it was not enough. Humanity's fleet, though outnumbered, was better organized and more determined. Their ships moved with precision, exploiting every weakness in the aliens' defenses. The Zorathians' flagship, a symbol of their once great empire, was destroyed in a blaze of fire, marking the end of their resistance. As the dust settled, the Zorathians' defeat was complete. Their fleet was in ruins, their stronghold destroyed, and their empire shattered. The humans' warning had been fulfilled. They had hunted the Zorathians to the end of the galaxy, and there would be no escape. The war was over, but the lessons it had taught would echo through the stars for generations to come. Humanity had proven that they were not just survivors, they were conquerors, and the galaxy would never forget. The fall of the Zorathian Empire marked the beginning of a new era for the galaxy. Humanity, once a fledgling species struggling to defend its home, had emerged as a dominant force. The war had not only secured Earth's survival, but had also reshaped the balance of power across the stars. The Zorathians' defeat was absolute, their once mighty empire reduced to scattered remnants. Their homeworld, now under human control, became a symbol of their hubris and humanity's indomitable will. The galaxy watched in awe as the humans, once underestimated and dismissed, took their place as guardians of a new order. The liberated species, freed from centuries of Zorathian oppression, hailed humanity as saviors. Planets that had known only subjugation and fear now experienced the first glimmers of hope. Human diplomats and aid workers arrived to help rebuild shattered civilizations, offering technology, resources, and support. The message was clear. Humanity's victory was not just for themselves, but for all who had suffered under the Zorathians' rule. The galaxy began to heal, and a sense of unity emerged among its diverse inhabitants. For the first time in generations, there was a chance for peace. The Zorathians' fate served as a stark warning to any species that might consider aggression. The story of their downfall spread quickly, carried by traders, explorers, and refugees. The phrase, "never attack humans, they will hunt you to the end," became a common refrain, a cautionary tale whispered in the halls of power across the galaxy. Humanity's reputation as a relentless and unforgiving adversary was firmly established, but so too was their image as protectors of the weak and champions of justice. The galaxy had learned to respect and fear the humans, not for their cruelty, but for their unyielding determination. Humanity's role in the galaxy evolved rapidly. With the Zorathians gone, a power vacuum emerged, and humanity stepped in to fill it. But unlike their predecessors, they did not seek to dominate or exploit. Instead, they established a coalition of free worlds, united by a commitment to mutual defense and cooperation. Earth became the capital of this new alliance, a beacon of hope and progress. The humans' ability to adapt and innovate, honed during the war, now fueled a golden age of exploration and discovery. New technologies, born from the fusion of human ingenuity and Zorathian advancements, revolutionized travel, communication, and medicine. The Zorathians themselves were not entirely eradicated. Those who surrendered were given a chance to rebuild their lives, though under strict oversight. Humanity's leaders recognized that forgiveness, tempered by caution, was essential to lasting peace. Re-education programs were established to help former Zorathian soldiers and citizens integrate into the new galactic order. While some resisted, many came to accept their new reality, grateful for the chance to start anew. The Zorathians' fall from grace served as a humbling lesson, and their culture began to evolve, shedding its militaristic past in favor of a more peaceful future. As the years passed, humanity's influence continued to grow. Their ships patrolled the stars, ensuring that no species would suffer as they had. Colonies flourished on distant worlds, and Earth became a hub of trade, diplomacy, and innovation. The humans' unique blend of resilience, creativity, and compassion set them apart, earning the respect and admiration of their allies. But they never forgot the lessons of the war. Vigilance remained a cornerstone of their philosophy, and their military, though no longer engaged in active conflict, was always prepared to defend the peace they had fought so hard to achieve. The story of humanity's rise was celebrated across the galaxy. Songs, poems, and holovids immortalized their struggle and triumph, inspiring countless generations. The humans' warning to the Zorathians became a symbol of their strength and resolve, a reminder that even the mightiest empires could fall. But it was also a testament to their humanity, their capacity for mercy, their commitment to justice, and their unwavering belief in the value of life. The galaxy had learned to fear the humans, but it had also learned to trust them. In the end, the war against the Zorathians was not just a victory for humanity. It was a victory for the galaxy. The old order, built on fear and oppression, had been dismantled, replaced by a new era of cooperation and hope. The humans' journey from a struggling species on the brink of extinction to the guardians of the stars was a testament to their spirit and determination. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, united, and ready to face whatever challenges the future might hold. As the galaxy looked to the future, one thing was certain: humanity's legacy would endure. Their warning to the Zorathians had been fulfilled, and their promise to protect the galaxy had been kept. The stars, once filled with fear and uncertainty, now shone with the light of hope. And humanity, the once underestimated species from a small blue planet, stood at the forefront of a new dawn, ready to lead the way into a brighter tomorrow.